dust storm, man.
Nobody calls Han Solo a bitch.
Bring him on. I prefer a straight fight to all this sneaking around.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
Oh, come on, bro. It's the wars.
Have you ever sat and wondered what it might look like if you combined a documentary with an 80s style movie montage? We might just have the answer for you. This is The Wars and More. I'm Joe, and of course with me is my good buddy Doug. Hey Doug, how you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good, Joe. How you doing?
I'm curious on what I just saw.
Yes. Yes. I just saw it too.
But yeah, so I'm doing good. I'm doing good. And I'm being light humored here, but it's not all that bad.
No.
But what I'm talking about is a couple weeks ago, I believe it was, we talked about coming to Disney Plus was that Behind the Attraction.
Yes.
So this was Disney's look into their attractions, stuff like, what do we have? We have Jungle Cruise, Star Tours, Space Mountain, right?
Right. Yep. Those sort of things. Yep.
So instantly I watched Star Tours.
Of course.
This is the relevant material.
Yeah. For anyone listening, yes. Skip right to episode 3. Yes.
Yes. Episode 3, Star Tours. And I was very excited for this.
Me too.
This seemed like a 45-minute movie trailer.
Kinda. Yes. It was a lot of comedy, flash, and jokes.
It is 20 minutes of transition clips.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I mean, it's built in that format that you see these quick hit documentaries, right? Where they cover a bunch of things and they got to transition all the time.
Right.
But they're doing those transitions while talking about one thing.
Yes.
And it was a little jarring. I mean, it's YouTube style content, in my opinion.
It kind of is.
You know, I was expecting a little more, man, I'm going to date myself a little bit here.
Please.
Which means you're going to be right there with me. But on PBS, they used to have a series called Nova, right?
Oh, yeah.
And they would do like the Voyager stuff, right?
Right.
And I think that was actually narrated by Patrick Stewart.
Was it Patrick Stewart?
I thought so.
Okay. Is that because, the same show that Nimoy narrated?
No, Nimoy narrated something else, right?
Okay, I don't remember. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure Patrick Stewart did the Voyager ones because that was right when Next Generation was hot.
Yeah,
because it was when I was a kid, and that's what was on TV.
Yes. Okay. I could be thinking even further back, Joe. So that's it's kind of how that works.
Right. Which I mean, I guess to a lot of people, this would be the boring type of documentary, right?
Yeah.
But this is a little more what I expected it to be, lightened up because it's Disney.
Yeah.
But still along those lines. This was very whimsy.
Very whimsy.
I mean, good information in there.
It's good, but it didn't dig as deep as I thought it was gonna into the, the inner workings, the behind the scenes, as they say, of what it took to get these things done. They kind of get into it, and where the technology came from and how it came about and this and that. But I was looking for some more of those stories. They told the one little story of, George looked at a storyboard and, asked what that was from, and that led to the simulator machine and all that. But it was like, I wanted more of those in-depth, this is how deep this conversation went kind of thing, I don't know.
Yeah, and like, it was a lot of like CGI renderings of like how stuff works.
Right.
And not like actual footage of the thing that was working.
Exactly.
That was a little like disappointing. I was expecting to see like the curtain pull back, like this is how the inner workings were, not like free floating, like I said, like CAD drawings, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. We got a 3D rendering of, what we were thinking of doing and how we made it work, and it's like, I don't know. I don't know. I guess they don't want to like give away all their secrets or something. I don't know. I just, my mechanical brain was wanting to see a lot more of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So.
Yes, because I mean, having been on both iterations of this ride.
Yep.
It was a very exciting one to see pop up.
Absolutely.
So, it was a little like, especially like when it got to the end, right? And I say the end, it's the end of them talking about Star Tours, because the rest of the
Right.
episode was about Galaxy's Edge.
Yes.
And I was like, wait, I thought we were here to watch Star Tours.
Right.
And I just watched a bunch of Han Solo clips and a little bit about Star Tours.
Yeah.
But where was I going with that?
When they got to the end of the Star Tours part.
Yeah, I don't remember where I was going with that.
Okay.
So I distracted myself with the Han Solo stuff.
Nice. I will say, from a technical aspect, it did leave me wanting more, but I don't think they're going to give us more, that kind of thing. Was it pleasant to watch? Absolutely. But I did walk away wanting more information, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think I set the bar kind of high for myself.
Yeah,
right?
me too.
I was like, oh, cool, a documentary about how they're going to, and then it was not really
a
documentary per se.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. The updating of Star Tours.
Oh, yeah.
When they got to the end, it was kind of cool that they kind of drew the curtain back on that and how long the update was in development.
Right.
Because the update didn't launch until 2010?
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
And they started discussing it in like 98.
Right. Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, well, this was really cool, but we should wait for episode 2.
Yeah, exactly. That is interesting. I don't know. It does shed a little light on the fact that there's always work going on, right? These things seem to pop up every now and then. And you're like, oh, they just did this. No, they've been doing these things for quite some time, but
I think that's the case in most cases.
Yes.
Because, I mean, they're talking about Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
And this was before episode 7. They didn't have any idea on where they were going with this.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. That portion of this show, forgive me for saying so, but man, it made me long for some of their ideas that they had originally, and they even talked about it, everything that they pitched to Bob Iger, and he's like, hey, we got these movies coming out. We got to focus our attention there. And it's like, what?
Oh yeah. I mean, the initial looks were like, old Star Wars, right? Like original trilogy type stuff.
Right.
Putting you in your favorite portions of Star Wars.
Yep.
Having not been to Galaxy's Edge yet, I'm still withholding judgment.
Yeah.
But I do absolutely love the idea of a unexplored place, something we haven't seen on screen, but feels like it was on screen. I like that because their whole idea, right? You create your own story. You go out there, you live Star Wars. And in order to feel like you were creating your own story. You didn't want any baggage from the films going into your story, right?
I guess.
Right. And I mean, just that baggage of like, I like the idea that you're not walking from Tatooine to Endor to Hoth, right? You're not.
I don't know. I'd kind of like to walk between those worlds, but
I'm not saying I wouldn't enjoy that either. I would enjoy that.
Right.
But this concept of creating your own Star Wars story and being on a planet that is consistent throughout. Right.
Sure.
So you're totally immersed in this one place the whole time you're there, and you get to do other things that weave you into the rest of the Star Wars universe. I like that.
Sure.
And I think that was a good way, but I feel like they may start to weave Batu in too much.
Yeah.
It'll muddy that water.
My takeaway from the whole what they pitched to what they ended up actually creating, my take on it was I felt like they ended up doing this out of necessity because, you know, Iger didn't want to focus on what we knew before from Star Wars. He wanted to plan us more into the sequel era. And, you know, so the creators are like, we got a script? And he's like, not yet. Right. So they had nothing to work off of. So I think they were forced into going with, like, you know, they said as much. We're going to make this someplace we've never seen or heard of before. So, you know,
I'll say this from a like, not necessarily marketing standpoint, because I don't know jack about marketing. But putting the sole focus, like everything they did, like these decisions they made in the beginning of Disney Star Wars era, right? Of putting all the focus on the sequels.
Right.
You know, with we don't want to make anything whimsical about Star Wars because we got these sequels coming out. We don't want to poke fun. We don't want to parody. So detours.
Right.
In the can. You know, we don't want to do original trilogy type or prequel trilogy type stuff for our Star Wars land. We want it to be consistent with the new movies. We want to focus on the new movies. When you just laser focus everybody, this is why you got the scrutiny you did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, I mean, this is all you wanted people to focus on.
Yeah. You got a point there because, you know, when you could pull from all of Star Wars as a whole, and yeah, which you always can, but I don't know. You were definitely putting out this, you know, this is what's new. This is what's coming. This is what we need to be thinking about now. You know, even as a fan base, here you go. And you have everybody going over these things with a fine-tooth comb. And
yeah, here, I'll make a little analogy here, right? I have cats as pets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when my cats start fighting, best strategy for me is just dangle something over here. Distracts them, gets their attention over here. They stop fighting.
Right. Yeah.
My strategy isn't like, oh, I don't want my cats to fight here. I'm going to dangle the other cat over there. It's like the worst idea in the world.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
No, focus on his cat.
I like that. Yeah.
No, I get the jingly ball out and they're like, hey, what's that? And they stop fighting.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Exactly.
You know, you get out their favorite toy.
Yeah, something that they're familiar with, something they know.
Love.
Yeah, they love it.
Distract them with that.
Yep.
Like, hey, I know we screwed up over here and let you get into that, but here, ding, 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 ding.
Yeah. That's us.
Exactly. We need to ding, 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 ding over
Exactly.
here so we don't get too angry about the other stuff.
Hey, my favorite old shiny thing. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and you need time to acclimate.
That's right. Absolutely. Oh, I love it.
All right. Let's in all honesty though, like before we walk away, I'm going to steer us away from this here in a moment, but
Sure.
in all honesty, it is enjoyable.
Yes.
There is some good information in there, and I did enjoy watching it. I just expected a little more pulling back of the curtain.
Yeah. A little deeper into the weeds on the technology and the stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to.
Yeah, it was a little more like a celebration panel with a lot of transition clips.
Yes.
You know, like
Yes. Yeah, that makes sense.
I expected to see a little more visual, a little more like, hey, look, this is the actual machine.
Right.
This is what we came up with. Like not renderings,
No.
not animations. I expected to see the actual equipment. Like I expected to see the ride the way the ride mechanics see it, right? Like
Right. That is interesting to me. I know it's not to everybody, and they're trying to appeal to a broad audience. I get it. But they could have had a little bit more of that kind of stuff in there. That would have been, extra appealing to me, for sure.
like it was like watching an episode of How It's Made, but they never actually show how it's made.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Here's the widget. Here's all the parts of the widget. These all get put
And here's a
together.
drawing of how we made this happen.
Yes. And boy, was it hard. Okay, moving
It's
on.
like, what the hell was that?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to steer us away.
Yeah.
All right. Internet's a buzz, right?
Of course.
Always. It's Star Wars. I mean, it's... So this poster.
Yes, this poster.
Luke Skywalker and Grogu.
Yep.
Now, it seems this is official.
This is a poster. This is a piece of art officially licensed.
Officially licensed.
So, this is one of these artists that does artwork for Lucasfilm, and so this is something that was licensed and sold, and apparently is now sold out. So
I can understand why. It's pretty freaking cool.
it's a very cool poster. Yes. If you haven't seen it, what we have is Luke Skywalker levitating a kyber crystal above his hand, with Grogu kind of in front of him, levitating all kinds of tiny lightsaber parts, looking up at them. It's so just from that, you can just imagine what the internet is abuzz about.
Yes. First off, the idea of little Grogu with a lightsaber.
Oh man. I know.
I mean, that's just step one, right?
Yes.
And then Luke Skywalker training Jedi? What?
Yeah, I know. How could it be? This is only what everyone was hoping for from the very beginning, right? Well, from the very end of Return of the Jedi, but yeah, this is got everyone talking. Now, I'm gonna go into a place here. I don't know. Let's see. A lot of people are hoping to see some of this come to the screen in season 3 of The Mandalorian.
Blah.
Right.
All right.
All right. Joe, go. That's
I know everyone is probably tired of hearing me bitch about this. Because, really, Joe, you just hate Star Wars, right? This is what I've been told.
Yes, you have been told this.
Yeah. But, I mean, I don't. It just, the name of the show is The Mandalorian.
Right.
The Mandalorian. It's not, it's not The Mandalorian and plus Luke Skywalker and the Tales of the Jedi, right? Like it's
Right.
it's The Mandalorian.
Yes, I understand where you're coming from with this.
Now, I'd like to see that show.
Yeah. Me too. I gotta be honest. I've said it before on this show that I'm really excited for the Obi-Wan Kenobi show because, in my mind, that's probably the closest thing we're ever going to get to a post-episode 6, pre-episode 7 Luke Skywalker, right? So that's why I've been very excited about the Obi-Wan show. Now, this promotion here, this licensed piece of artwork, it's got a lot of people talking, and I guess I'm just going to roll into this other thing because this is also something to go along with that. So Joe, when I say Shamook, what does that mean to you?
Shamook?
Yeah. Shamook.
The hell's a Shamook?
There you go. So I had no idea either until I heard about this story. This is a YouTuber's handle. This is the YouTuber who kind of like did the deep fake upgrade, I guess, to those scenes. Right.
Of the final episode of season 2.
Right. Of the face of Luke Skywalker. And
yeah, it did a good job.
And a very good job. And so if you look up this YouTuber, they've actually done this with a lot of Star Wars characters. They've done it with Tarkin. They put basically what looks like a young Harrison Ford's face onto Alden Ehrenreich. A lot of this stuff. You can check out a lot of these videos. They're really cool. But this person has been hired by ILM. Oh shoot, I gotta look here if I can find it because they have a title and it is it's very specific. Oh, I don't think I have it up, but
it's an animation job, right? I'm pretty sure I saw that this guy got brought on or computer generated.
Yes, but it's
something like that.
It's specific to it's to the face. Specific to like de-aging faces and things like that. I forget the exact title, but it's specifically to the face of a character. So, with that being said, the thoughts behind, a lot of what people are in an uproar about is that with this licensed poster coming out as quote unquote a promotion and, this new position being filled here, maybe we will see some Luke Skywalker Grogu in the future. A lot of people are saying season 3. I don't necessarily think that's going to be the case. I think maybe I wouldn't mind seeing, even if it was one episode, of Luke and Grogu, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine and dandy as long as they don't do one episode of Luke and Grogu, one episode of Ezra Bridger, one episode of Thrawn. Like...
Oh, no. Okay, I'm not even talking about in The Mandalorian. I'm talking about, like you said, let's call it the, Tales of the Jedi, Luke Skywalker, Luke Skywalker, Jedi Master. That's what I'm talking about.
There might be a fight about using the Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah, probably. But I guess my thing is, if we do see it in The Mandalorian, I'm not going to complain at the time. That's for sure. Do I believe that's where it belongs? Not necessarily.
Yeah, don't worry, I will.
Of course you will. But that's basically, the combination of these things. This is where a lot of this buzz is, coming from. Understandably, because this deep fake side by side YouTube video, it's pretty good.
Now, I do want to bring up this move just a little bit. The idea of using this de-aging and deep fakes and things like that. I mean, how do you feel about that as a whole?
Well,
as opposed to just recasting.
I have to be honest with you. I'm okay with either way.
Yeah, like I'm a little more of a fan of just recasting and writing a good enough story to suspend disbelief.
That would be key.
Yes. I don't feel like we should be so focused on what a character looks like. Do they look like the old Luke Skywalker? Things like that. Okay, they need to resemble it.
It does help when they are instantly recognizable, though. And
it does.
And you have to admit, in The Mandalorian season 2 finale, they masterfully introduced Luke so that we would recognize Luke long before we ever saw his face.
Right. But I feel like they did it so masterfully that they could have pulled that hood back and it would have been a guy that just resembles Luke Skywalker.
If it would have been Sebastian Stan, you'd have been okay with that.
Totally believable.
Me too.
Like, they did such a good job of the introduction. You had no doubt by the time he was getting there to remove his hood.
Yes.
That was Luke Skywalker.
I agree. But
I mean, and even now you had a certain advantage because I'm pretty sure we're going to find out when we see this gallery that the portion of it where Luke was just standing there, that was Mark Hamill.
Yeah, I think so too.
And it was his stance. It was the way he carried himself. It was, the way he rested his hands in front of his body. All those things was very Luke Skywalker.
Yes. And
it could be argued that no one was going to pull that exact mannerism off other than Mark Hamill.
Right.
I kind of disagree with that because these are actors, right? They're good at their craft. They study what they're going to do. And in most cases, they could pull off the body language, right?
Sure.
So I'm at a little bit of a impasse with myself, right? Because
sure. But
it's just like when I complain about The Mandalorian not being about The Mandalorian. I loved everything I saw, but it should be about The Mandalorian, so that kind of pisses me off at the same time.
Right.
But I loved everything I saw, so I'm at a weird impasse.
The point you're making goes right along with what's his name? Jonas Sotomo, filling in for Peter Mayhew. I mean, he does a very convincing job, and he studied Peter, and you know, we now have Chewbacca who can live on past Peter. You know, I mean, that's exactly
Right,
what
and-
you're getting at. That's
And you had the advantage there, like you would have right now, where,
yes,
you know, Jonas got to study Peter Mayhew's Chewbacca with Peter Mayhew.
Yep.
You could start the next Luke Skywalker right now, training with the Jedi Master Mark Hamill
yes.
to carry on Luke Skywalker into the future.
And should that happen? Yes. That's my
Yes.
opinion. Absolutely.
Yes, that should be happening right now. And I this is one of those moments where I feel like technology is actually like kind of setting us back a little bit, because we got this crutch, right? We can
That's-
just
I
make
was
it look like
Just
Luke
going to
Skywalker.
say they're going to use this technology as a crutch, and yeah, it's almost like we can use anybody so long as they fit the suit, right? I mean,
Right. Exactly. And I understand. I understood this technology when they used it for the quick scene in Rise of Skywalker with Luke and Leia,
yes,
right? I understood it when they did it with Tarkin.
Yep.
You know, but when you do it with Luke Skywalker, I'm like, I guess,
I don't know.
but it's just, I guess, you know,
I-
like,
I was
and I only say that because you're looking at a future with this character.
that's the
Potentially.
thing. Yes, you are potentially looking at a future. Yes, which I would love to see happen. And I guess I am at the point where I don't care which way it happens. If it happens with this technology or if it happens with a recasting, I don't care. Just make it happen. I want this
Right.
story told of Luke Skywalker, Grogu, and what's to come. Yeah.
I think they allowed the Solo reception to get them a little gun shy on this idea of recasting.
Maybe.
And I'm sorry, but Alden Ehrenreich was not the problem.
He was not the problem. No. That is no. There were other issues with that movie. And it wasn't Alden, that's for sure. Alden could
No,
come
I
back
mean,
and
that
play
movie-
Han.
Just
And-
look at the development timeline, and you can see that movie was a train wreck from the start
Yes.
with development. And in all honesty, it's a movie that probably deserves a sequel that they put the adequate time into and don't rush and try and, you know, because in all honesty, Solo would have been a much better movie if they said, okay, we had these problems, we're just going to delay it.
Yeah.
But no, they stuck to their timeline.
The problem there, I hate to even go down this road, but my God, the problem there is you have shareholders you have to answer to. You know, this movie was supposed to come out on this date. Why is that not happening now?
Well, here's
No.
a good example for shareholders. Look, we did this. We took your idea, we ran with it, and we lost a shit ton of money.
Exactly. but I think at that point in time, Disney had this mindset of it's Star Wars. We can't lose with Star Wars.
Right.
And guess what? Kind of lost with that one.
You know, and it's not a horrible film,
No, not at all.
but it does have its flaws and some glaring ones.
Right.
It doesn't feel like they had the same vision from start to finish.
Exactly. And like you said, if they wanted to bring Alden back and even a Disney Plus miniseries, that'd be awesome. You know, I would love to see that. You know, and as far as this Luke thing goes, I would love to see more stories about Luke Skywalker post Return of the Jedi, recast, or with this, you know, de-aging technology. Either way, I just
Well, I
want the
think this
stories.
de-aging technology, you're going to be limited on what you can do,
Probably.
because if you try to shoot, you know, a 40-minute episode using this technology, the budget's going to go out of control.
Well, I think that's, the thought here is that this YouTuber Shamook has got something nailed down here that maybe the people at ILM didn't quite have. How, I don't know, because I know nothing about how they're doing this. But
I'll say this, though. I mean, deepfakes, you're using existing footage to play with it, right?
yeah,
So developing new footage and using existing footage are two different things.
true.
I mean, I'm not behind the scenes here, but I mean, that seems pretty obvious to me.
Right.
So, yes, okay, he probably has. He could probably be in a editing capacity and clean it up. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
But I haven't seen anything out of the deep fake department that says, okay, these people are going to be able to make totally new stuff. I haven't seen that.
All I know is there's a new Lucasfilm employee there, or ILM employee, and hopefully it means we're going to see something new.
Oh yeah, it's definitely exciting.
Yes.
Definitely exciting.
Have something to add to the conversation? Or you just want to let us know how we're doing? Email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best place to get in on the action. But if social media is a little more to your liking, @TheWarsandMore on Twitter is always a good place to interact with us. And we're also on Facebook, facebook.com/TheWarsandMore. And of course, your portal to this and everything else, The Wars and More, is thewarsandmore.com.
All right, we've reached that time. The Bad Batch.
Yes, we have.
Yeah. The Bad Batch. So we're talking episode 13, Infested. This one stands on its own.
Oh, that's for sure. I mean,
this was very separated.
Well, there is like 1 star in this show, this episode. A big standout, and I think you'll agree. Ruby. I mean,
yeah,
great performance by Ruby. Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely something that was it's there.
No, I mean, so this episode, like, okay, we're like joking here. It was an enjoyable episode.
Sure.
But in the flow of the show so far, I mean, you could have put this one anywhere.
Yes. Yeah, and that's the thing, I guess, right? We're getting close to winding down the season, and here's where we see this one. It's kind of like, I do.
I mean, it's not quite Sunny Day in the Void.
Right. That's a Clone Wars callback. This could have some future ramifications, I guess, for Sid specifically, and the crime syndicates and all that, the Pikes and all. But I just, I'm looking more for how does the Bad Batch fit into, what's happened with Order 66 and the development of, the Stormtrooper program, as opposed to the clones. I'm looking more for that angle on things, and it seems like we're digging deeper into, Sid's world.
Right. I mean, so this kind of episode made a little more sense when we were watching the Clone Wars, and we knew, like, they're playing the long game, right?
Oh, absolutely.
The Clone Wars, we got 7 seasons out of it.
Right.
Most of the seasons were 22 episodes?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So, long game. We kind of got the feeling with this series that this is going to be
rather limited compared to most animated series.
Yeah.
So this was a little jarring.
Well, we're kind of dealing in a it's not bookended necessarily. We have episode 3 to wherever this ends, but we had to, logically, I think most of us fans have thought this can't go on too long. The Empire would never allow it. So I guess that's where we're all coming from to a certain degree.
Right. Like we're headed to the dark times, right?
Yes. I mean, they're showing us some of that and some of the early beginnings of it here, what we saw in Ryloth and the other world with that senator, getting driven out of his position. And it's that kind of stuff that I guess I was just, I don't know. I was thinking we would see a lot more of that, a lot more of this, the Empire.
Oh, sorry. Raxus is what you were.
Yeah, gotcha.
You said that, and I was like, what world was it? It was Raxus.
Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry
Yes.
to derail.
Which was like one of the main separatist planets.
Right.
So, but, all of those machinations are kind of what I was imagining this show would focus on. The crime syndicates and all that kind of stuff. I imagine that more for like a, I don't know. Hate to say it, but maybe like a Boba Fett type show, which I know a lot of people are hoping to see Boba Fett in this, but it's neither here nor there right now.
Don't get me started.
Yeah, I'm not trying to. But I just think that the here we have I don't know, the show starts off with them getting off the ship from a mission, and they talk about Sid's going to have to pay us more because she didn't say there'd be a whole hive of Gundarks in there.
Yeah, and then you watch this and it's like, why didn't you show that?
Right.
But
then here they're having to deal with a whole hive of what are these things called? Earlings or something? I don't know.
Yeah, Garlings or something like that.
So, it's I don't know. I just and then this whole the callback with Ruby, the lizard thing here.
Mm-hmm.
That was okay, I guess.
More like a grub.
Right. Giant.
Yeah.
But I something that I was something I caught that I don't know if it's Omega that named it or what, but in the first episode where they actually retrieved Ruby, Wrecker says, "You name that thing?"
Yeah.
So if it is Omega that named it, it's funny that they kept the name.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe that was the name ahead of time. I don't know. Prior to them capturing it, but
right. Just a different approach here too. I will say this. I do like that there is an episode like this to kind of ground it.
Okay.
Because it does feel odd that every episode would be like, oh wow, this is saga changing, right? Like this is
this has big ramifications.
Sure.
Not that every episode has felt that way, but it seems like that's what they're kind of going for with almost every. I understand it's limited compared to the Clone Wars or Rebels, for example.
Right.
But you do need these grounding episodes at the same time, because not every mission they go on is going to be huge.
Agreed.
And you do kind of need to see those less impactful missions.
Okay.
Just to kind of show that there is another daily life here, right?
Sure.
Not every episode is going to have them crossing paths with Cad Bane or Rex or whatever. You know, this one focused on characters that are introduced in the Bad Batch.
Yeah. I would say though that the things I'm looking at is if you are going to have like a less consequential episode, maybe it's it's looking into why Omega might be so important, you know, or you know, this is, I don't know, this is dealing with spice, right? You know, it's basically a drug deal gone bad because they stole the spice, you know. I just,
which I must say, and sorry to interrupt.
No, it's fine.
But this thing with Star Wars right now to really kind of hone in on the whole drug thing. Yeah. Now to expand on what I'm saying here, I'm reading Rising Storm right now.
Okay.
Which is the second book of the High Republic series.
Right.
The second big novel, right? There's tons of other stuff in between there, but there is a lot of focus on drug usage in Star Wars all of a sudden.
Oh, really?
And I'm just a little, I don't want to say weirded out by it, but I'm just like, why?
Yeah, not something you're really used to in Star Wars. I mean, it's mentioned, you know, here and there, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they even use the word in the I think they use the word cigarella.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm like, really?
Huh.
Like they talked about someone's voice, like it sounded like they've smoked cigarellas their entire life, but we know she's never touched them. It's like, what?
Wow.
There's cigarellas in Star Wars?
Thought they were called death sticks.
That's what I thought. Now I'm just curious, like, what's a death stick?
Right. Yeah, that's interesting.
But it was just like, now we're talking spice here. I'm reading that and I'm like, wow, why am I surrounded by Star Wars drug usage? It was odd.
Yeah. I
odd
mean,
timing for me.
I was going to say, I mean, it's primarily because you're reading the book right now, I suppose, but you know, we have dealt with spice in the past and everything in Star Wars, but this is like, I for me, you know, it's like,
always been a passing thing, right? Like it just gets mentioned,
right?
And in this time, you actually see the bricks of spice.
Exactly.
Right?
There's that, and usually, if something like this is a plot point in Star Wars, the spice, you know, gets lost or whatever, right? And I thought that's where they were going to go with this, but then they go and recover it and then end up giving it to the Pikes, and it's like, so this stuff's all going to get into the hands it was intended to get into anyway. So,
Have we ever seen spice on screen?
Like spice use?
No, like spice
baggies, right? Like the bricks of spice that we just saw.
Not that I'm aware of.
Like, we can't fire a blaster bolt because it might make our characters look bad, but we're going to show them running coke.
Right. Exactly. I mean, now, they did fire blaster bolts this time. They weren't trying to stun those, the hired help for, the Duran dude. I forget his name.
Yeah, but they were drug cartel guys, right? Like,
Right, exactly. Yeah, they were definitely the bad guys. So, yeah, it's funny how that works, huh?
like we need to preserve the clones that we don't see later.
Right.
Yeah. Now, I mean, that does add a little more credence to the idea that they don't want to kill their brothers.
It does. I would just give us an order from Hunter, right, to the rest of the crew. You know, that would have been nice early on. It's like, be careful not to hurt our brothers or something like that. And I'd have been good with that, the whole stun thing, which we didn't see in this episode. But, you know, in the latter, past few, we have. So,
I mean, it'd be a little late for that order now. It's not like anybody's like...
Oh, that's what I'm saying. If we would have heard it earlier, that would have been...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like anybody's not been doing it.
Right.
Like, just a reminder to keep doing what you're doing.
No, that wouldn't work now.
Yeah. All in all, though, I do like that they did an episode where they focused on Sid, characters that were introduced in this series.
Yeah.
But it did feel off pace.
It did. And I guess where I say if this could have ramifications in the future, if the Bad Batch is still working for Sid, since Sid has ended up taking out this Pike connection, maybe she's going to have to be the Pike connection in this area now because she's taken the spot back over, So maybe the Bad Batch is going to end up having to do some jobs for the Pikes, which could get dicey. So
yeah, but like, at the same time, it's like they're like, "Oh, we're done here.
Right,
we're all good."
Yeah, that's true.
So like, it would have made more sense, like ramifications for the future, if like, okay, they pissed off the Pikes and they just left it at that.
Right.
But no, they were square when they walked away here. If you get back involved after they say, "Hey, we're square," that's on you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You make a good point there.
It didn't sound like, "Oh, we'll be contacting you because,
yeah,
you volunteered to take his place."
Right.
They never even alluded to that.
It's funny. They did chop off the Duran's horn. It was.
Yeah, I mean, so is there a precedent for that? Because what was his name in Rebels? Vizago?
Yes.
He was missing a horn.
Was he?
Pretty sure.
Huh. Interesting.
Let me just verify. Yeah, he's missing his left horn.
His left horn.
Yep.
Maybe he crossed the Pikes at some point. Which, knowing that character, it wouldn't surprise me.
And he's the same race, right?
Yeah, a Durand.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, he's missing the top of his left horn.
Interesting.
I did like that. That was like the mob taking the pinky finger, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, we're not gonna permanently injure you, but we're gonna leave you with something to remember us by. Yeah, don't do this again. Yeah.
Yeah, I did like that. That was definitely some gangster stuff, right? Like,
Exactly.
I mean, this whole episode had that feel.
It did. It definitely did. But then somehow Omega sees the quote unquote good in him, I guess. I didn't quite understand, what they were trying to get at with that. I mean, here we are. Omega's sticking up for this guy, and I don't know. Is that something we're supposed to like read into a little more or something? I don't know. I don't know. There seemed to like there was supposed to be something to that, but it didn't.
Well, I think they're definitely trying to build on Omega seeing the best in people, because she had just done that with Hera,
Right.
wanting to help. She's just very compassionate.
Sure.
And I think the emphasis is based on the fact that she's a clone.
Okay.
This very human side of her compared to the clones. Probably ultimately to emphasize the lack of human side that Boba Fett has.
Right.
Alpha, yeah, he doesn't care about human life or just sentient beings.
So you think that's the message we're supposed to take away from this, is that him being the alpha and like
bloodthirsty, and
just we're gonna get the job done by any means necessary. That's it. And Omega, the opposite end of the spectrum, is caring about everyone. I mean, even in this episode, she was the only one really who was that concerned about Sid.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that's an element.
Interesting thought.
Because, I mean, you use these, you make that comparison with Boba, him being Alpha, her being Omega. You got beginning and end. One has zero compassion, the other has,
All
limitless compassion. I mean, she literally has compassion for the one that sold them out, the one that was against them,
right?
For her enemy. So, I definitely think that's an element.
Interesting. I guess if there's anything to take away from this episode, that's something to take, because like you said, this is kind of like a, what do you call it, a grounded episode, or something without a whole bunch of,
it was just a day in the life of episode, right?
Kind of, yeah. But
like, this isn't the highlights anymore. This is just a normal day.
Right.
Because I imagine, being fugitives of the Empire, and not only that, but like high profile.
Right.
Fugitives of the Empire, your daily life, this is probably as subdued as it gets.
I would imagine. Interesting thoughts. I just I guess I'm just longing for that next thing, that next big consequence to come for the Bad Batch, to where we're gonna
well, the next episode I think is named War Mantle, so I think you're gonna get something.
Yeah, I think so too.
I did think the title Infested seemed a little out of place.
Yeah. Yeah, because I
I
mean,
mean, we shouldn't be surprised.
why?
Just because, like, the title didn't seem like it fit with everything going on.
Right, exactly.
I mean, this is like in was it Rebels where we got the zombie
Yes.
Geonosians?
Geonosians, yes.
Yeah, this is very similar to that.
Yeah, kind of. Oh,
I mean, there were ramifications in that episode.
yes, there were. This one was just tying up, Sid's loose end here, but the one thing I did take note of here, and I kind of got some Temple of Doom vibes going with these little underground rail car things they had kicking here.
Oh, yeah.
It's just brief, but it was like, oh yeah, that's yeah. This feels a little bit like Temple of Doom, but
Yeah, I mean, I like that they had the crank way of moving them, right? Like,
exactly, manual. Yep.
and then it's like you fire up the engines, it's too loud,
Right.
as opposed to it going, like squeak,
Yep.
squeak, squeak.
Exactly.
Like, it seems like the fastest way across seems like the best idea.
You would think.
And are these things new? These pests? Were they not there when you built this tunnel?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because that cavern didn't seem new.
Well, I guess that would be the only way that this title of the episode makes sense then. This is a long, old underground tunnel that's been there for whatever use, and now it's infested with these things where it wasn't before. But I don't know. Seems like they've been there a while. That was a big hive.
Yeah, it was. Definitely looked like it's been a minute. I like how Tech's always one step ahead, though, right? Like, hey, what if these things wake up? Working on that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like this light bomb.
Yeah, light bomb. Don't those ships have landing lights? Wouldn't that suffice?
I was thinking the same thing.
That's what I thought they were going to go with.
These guys have got to have some sort of illumination that would be far beyond what these things could handle. So, but hey,
But hey, why roll with that if you can make a light bomb?
Exactly. I like the idea of a light bomb. It's a good one.
It was very reminiscent of the seismic charges for Boba Fett's ship, right?
That's true.
The way that whole casing looked.
Yes.
It's what I was kind of half expecting when he dropped it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm waiting for that thing to go, whoa, whoa.
Yep. And then just collapse the cave or something.
Yep. But no, it's just a big blinding light, which somehow got them from behind.
Yeah, exactly. Also interesting.
Science in Star Wars is not the way.
No,
it's not the way forward.
It's not where it applies. But
this is not the way.
Right. Overall, I don't know. Interesting episode, I guess.
Not unenjoyable.
No,
but
not of any real consequence.
If this was episode 6, no comment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but
I
this
guess
is episode 13.
Right. We are winding down the season. Yeah, that's the thing about it.
Yeah. So episode 13 in a 16 episode season, you don't expect that to be the off speed pitch, right? Like,
Exactly. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, you expect this to be setting up.
Yes.
Unless they're setting up in a way we definitely don't see, this was not a setup.
Right. No, I think this was a one-off. This was, here to fill some space, I guess, and maybe we'll see something revisited here, but I don't see how it's going to pertain to the overarching story, that we're looking for, at least that I'm looking for. So, and all that I mentioned earlier. So I just, I don't know.
Yeah, and then for all of those hoping to see Boba Fett, like, do you want him to show up at the end?
I know.
Like, we don't even have a season 2 confirmation. Like, we don't know if this is even going beyond this.
Exactly. I mean, we're assuming it has to, but they haven't said so yet.
Right. And does it have to? I mean, based on this episode, probably.
Yeah,
but...
I would say yeah. And I guess if they end up wrapping up like a lot of stuff over the next few episodes, I would say I would have rather that they spent a little more time on it using the time they spent in this episode. Well,
I mean, they've got presumably 3 episodes to close out this season.
Right.
So, yeah, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, we'll see.
But I would definitely, looking at this, I would definitely anticipate a season 2.
Agreed.
All right. Well, if you have anything to add to the conversation, you can always email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best way to get a hold of us. We're also on social media. We're at The Wars and More on Twitter, facebook.com/thewarsandmore. You can find all that and all the ways to find the show over at thewarsandmore.com. Any final thoughts this week, Doug?
No, I think that about covers it.
All right. We'll talk next week.